Hey, how's it going, guys? So I wanted to talk about something that I really love to talk about, collaring. It's a fun subject for me, and hopefully it will be for you guys. So basically, collaring is, or collars in general, they're a symbolization of different things in a BDSM relationship. Now, for those who don't know what it is, a collar is probably what you think is anything that surrounds the neck is the definition of a collar. But if you ever seen a choker, which is used for like fashion, a lot of women wear them for fashion. They're chokers, and you can get ones that are just like those, and they're collars. So there's many different kinds of collars. So if you've heard of any kind of collaring in BDSM, you've probably heard of either one, the ownership collar, or the bedroom collar. Now, like the play collar. Now, the ownership collar is one that I hear that people, when they think BDSM, they think like, collared slave, whether it's in the bedroom or outside the bedroom. They can have either think it's like an ownership collar or a play collar. Now, there's more collars, and they all have different meanings. Now, and they're not to be taken lightly either. So in this video, I'm gonna go through each different kind of collar real quick, and it shouldn't be too long of a video, but yeah, so I'm gonna kind of just start off with the ones that I will be using or I would use, just because I like that the way that they're set. But there's no rules or anything, right? So if you do some research and there's a type of collar that you want to use, go ahead and use it. It's just when you give a collar to your submissive, you're to make it 100% clear what it symbolizes, right? It's not just, here's a piece of jewelry. No, it's much more than that, right? So we're going to kind of start off with the relationship ones, and then move into the other different kinds, okay? So first off, the one that I like to use, and most people do like this one, is what's called a collar of consideration. So it's when a dom is considering somebody, not just like, checking them out because they seem interesting. It's like you're considering them for potentially long-term relationship. Now, people do have different meanings on what a collar of consideration is. This is my view, and I like this view best. I know the other types, right? Like collar of consideration can also be like you're just considering them as a sub, and it could be short or long-term, but the way I like to view it is more meaningful than that, where if I give a collar of consideration to somebody, it means I am actually putting the effort in to grow the relationship. I'm not just, I'm not playing, so to speak. Like, this shit is legit. So, the equivalent of it, comparison to a regular relationship, is, well, there's nothing in a regular relationship that's equivalent, like an item, but it's like symbolizing that you're actually trying, or you're actually going to try with this person. There's no question. Like, if I were to give a collar of consideration to somebody, like, it is 100% to symbolize that I am considering you for a long-term relationship. I am going to try and grow this relationship 100%, and try and grow with you. So there's no question. It's completely clear what my intentions are. And it's same for a sub. You don't just accept it willy-nilly. If you accept a collar of consideration, that means that you're putting in that effort too, 100%. It's just as heavy on the sub's end as it is on the dom's end, right? It's just as meaningful if they accept it, comparison to if the dom gives it. Now, I'm going to state here that if a relationship doesn't work out, that sub is supposed to try their best to give that caller back to that dom, because it is not theirs. That dom owns that caller. It is not given to the sub and now the sub owns it. They're to give it back to the dom. Try their best. If the dom won't accept it, you're to try your best to give it to them and profusely, like, you know, take it, right? And then if they won't accept it, or you can't actually give it to them, then you are allowed to keep it, or whatever, or throw it out, or whatever. It is usually given back to the dom, though. Like, I haven't heard of a situation where the dom won't accept it, but, you know, I'm sure there is situations, because it is mentioned in the research that I've seen multiple times. But basically, the dom owns the caller, right? So if the relationship does end, you're to give it back to the dom. It is theirs, not yours, as a sub. So another thing too is, if you're not to take the caller off unless you're symbolizing that this relationship is ending at all. Like, if you're in an argument and you take your caller off, that means the relationship's over, right? If you take it off during an argument, it is considered disrespectful, because you should be able to wait until those emotions are away and you've had time to think. And then if you want to break up, then you go, you know, I've been thinking and I've decided that I don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore. Would you please take my collar off? And then if they won't accept it, then you can go ahead and take your collar off. But it's extremely disrespectful to take it off even in an argument. You're supposed to try and get them to do it. It's out of respect, right? The whole relationship's built off of respect, and it's not modern day respect. It's like BDSM respect. It's a different thing. So if you try and put one against another, it's not going to work. Like, if you think that what's socially acceptable in regular life, modern day life, modern day society, relationships, and you try and bring that into a regular relationship, you're going to seem disrespectful, because it's basically like you turn the dial up from 1 to 10, right? So what flies in everyday society doesn't fly in BDSM. It just doesn't. So anyways, like, so the caller of consideration is when a dom is considering someone to be their long-term partner, and they're actually like trying. So next up is a caller of training. So a caller of consideration can last anywhere from a couple weeks to a couple months. And then if that dom's like, okay, so, you know, I'd like to move forward and put the relationship kind of to the next level, they'll give what's called a training caller. So a training caller is a caller that symbolizes that you are in a relationship, and you're now being trained to be the submissive that dom wants. Now, I know that you guys might be like, what? But basically, when a sub is with a dom, everyone wants different things. Okay? It's just in a BDSM relationship, it's all clear what they want 100%. It's basically like a bunch of pleasure seekers. So what makes the dom happy is what the sub is to learn and do. And if you reach the point where you get the next caller, which is an ownership caller, that means like you're done your training, you know how to please me. And yeah, it's basically like the best thing a sub could get rewards wise. The equivalent of an ownership caller would be like getting married. If you accept it, that would be equivalent, like a wedding ring. So anyways, a training caller is to symbolize, like, you know, I'm done considering you. I want to be in a relationship with you. You and I are together. So if a dom gives a collar of training to a submissive and this submissive accepts it, it's taken as heavy as asking someone to be in a relationship with them, like full out 100% it's a relationship. From there, you guys are a couple, and then a collar, it'll remain a collar of training until it moves up to the next step, where it becomes an ownership collar, like I was mentioning. Now, a collar of ownership symbolizes, like, you know, you're done your training, so you know everything that I want you to learn to make me happy. So you're done your training, you've passed, so to speak, you've graduated, so to speak. And then, so yeah, ownership collar is like, you are owned, you are perfect, and you are mine. And it can take years to get this collar, like couple years to get an ownership collar, because, you know, learning every little detail about what someone wants, how to please somebody, it takes time. It's not, you know, it doesn't take a week and, you know, a book, right? Like, you're supposed to memorize this, learn it, so when you come home, you know what to do, whether it's something that's really strict or something that's really light. Like, if you're meant to do certain things, like, until you learn everything, you're supposed to have a collar of training. After you learn everything, then you move up to collar of ownership, which is symbolization of, like, you know, I'm done considering you, I want to be with you forever, is what it means. That's the equivalent. It's like a marriage ring, as I was saying. So those are kind of the relationship step by step of what it is, rather than just in a regular relationship where it's just like, oh, you're cute, let's hang out, and then that's kind of like a consideration step. And then after a few months, which I don't even think this happens anymore in regular relationships, like vanilla relationships, usually just jump straight to relationship. But, you know, people always hope and pray. But like, first you kind of hang out, you get to know each other, and then you move to a relationship, and then after a relationship you guys get married. That's kind of like the step process. It's the same thing, it's just it's much clearer when each step is done. And now each dom can have different things. So a dom can have it where their sub doesn't sleep with the collar on. A dom can have it where the sub does sleep with the collar on. A dom can have it where their sub doesn't wear a collar in public. A dom can have it where they do wear it in public, or it doesn't have to be a collar. Like, I like collars, so my subs will be wearing collars unless there's like an actual reason. But other pieces of jewelry nowadays are being accepted as well. So you can have like bracelets that symbolize a collaring, or it can be like an ankle bracelet, or even other things like belly button jewelry can also be like the same symbolization as collar. So that's for you to decide as the dom, and or if you're in a more of, yeah, I don't know, the dom usually picks, right, because they're the dom. But I have heard of letting the sub be part of that. But I like picking. I like collars, so my subs wear collars. That's just how it is. Anyways, there's other types of collars as well. So those are the relationship ones. Then there's what's called like bedroom collars, right? Which is, you know, it could be more of leather, like rings in it, like O-rings, so you can tie them up and kind of hold their neck back and stuff like that, so you can, you know, do with what you want with them, or use what is rightfully yours, so to speak, in the bedroom. And usually they're a little bit thicker, and these collars are mainly strictly for the bedroom. Now kind of good time to go through collar presentation rituals. So each person will have their own thing that they want. Like that dom will have their own thing that they want. So the sub is to learn each one. So the dom shows what they're supposed to do, and the sub has to learn. And then, so a collar presentation, it could be as simple as, you know, the sub gets on their knees and offers the collar to their dom, and then the dom puts the collar on around their neck, and then the sub hugs their leg or something like that, or kisses their boot, or whatever it is, or rests their forehead on the boot or something like that, or says something meaningful and then does it, or whatever the ritual is that dom wants, that sub's to learn. It's part of the training and consideration part, right? Now, the collar presentation ritual is extremely common for submissives to have to do, and for that kind of relationship. So it's extremely common that if you're in a BDSM relationship, you're going to be doing collar presentations. Now, if you're to wear your collar all the time, other than like if you have a bedroom collar, then you won't be doing many of them. But like in my style, depending on what kind of collar I get them, I'll have it where I take the collar off at night, and then in the morning they have to do their collar presentation ritual. Or if I don't have it, so they don't wear it at work, then when they get home they have to do a collar presentation ritual. It's just like a bunch of little rituals and protocols, and I can have it like that, or I can have it if I'm with a little where it's not like that and they just wear it all the time. It's like colorful and pink or whatever, and cute, or it can be like heavy leather, or just like, it all depends on what kind of relationship, what that dom wants. I'm very flexible, so I can be happy with each different kind. It depends on that person, for me. But basically, collar presentation rituals are extremely common, so expect that to happen if you're new and you're looking into this. And so next is the bedroom one. Kind of went over that. It just happens in the bedroom, and it's a play kind of collar for the bedroom. There are also play collars, so if you have a play partner and you give them up like a play collar, and that collar is to symbolize like I'm playing with you, and that's it. It has no meaning other than like you're my play partner, and it could be worn all the time so others don't approach and they know that you're like, is like a play partner is a step below a relationship and a step above friends with benefits. So it's like a designated fuck buddy, so to speak. Yeah, so anyways, that's a play partner. So a play collar can be, like, other people have different definitions. A play collar can, in some people's view, is the bedroom collar. But in my point of view, it's when someone's given a play collar, is to symbolize like, oh, you're my play partner legitly until either we grow or we split ways. Like, you're my play partner or whatever, right? So that's a play collar. Then there's collar of protection. This is more of a really serious collar. It's not so much play. They're all serious, they all have meaning, but a collar of protection is usually when a sub goes up to a high ranking dom, if they're in the community, or someone with a lot of respect, like a dom with a lot of respect, and a collar, like a protection collar, can also be given by a submissive to another submissive. But usually, in traditional sense, a collar of protection is when a sub just got out of a relationship or needs time to heal, or someone's harassing them or something like that. Within the BDSM community or the life, they go up to a high-ranking dom and ask for protection. And so that dom will give them a collar of protection, which symbolizes this submissive isn't taken, like isn't in a relationship, isn't owned, but they're not available. And if you want to approach that, like, you're not to approach a sub like that, but if you wanted to, you'd have to go through that dom who's protecting them. And then that dom who's protecting them, their job is to determine if that sub is ready. So, like, subs are meant to not stress about certain things, so that dom will determine when that sub is ready. If they're ready to if they're ready and healed, that dom will decide when, okay, at that time, unless the sub thinks that they're ready before then. But usually the sub kind of just does their thing, and then they don't have to worry about being approached, and just can let time heal and be given time to recover from whatever it is. But usually a collar protection is something that's asked from a sub, or asked from a dom, a high-ranking dom from a sub. Like, sub will go up to that dom and ask for protection. And if I'm not mistaken, the traditional color for a collar protection is blue. I think that's the common one, is the color blue. If I'm wrong, I'll have it in the description right at the top, and I'll have the color that's supposed to be. But I'm pretty sure it's blue is the traditional color. But you know, things are getting more open, so I think nowadays it doesn't have to be blue. But pretty much if anyone's collared, then they're not supposed to be approachable, right? But it's just so that sub is wearing a collar is what it symbolizes to other doms. Okay, and then so collar protection. Next one is a posture collar. Posture collar is like a big thick collar. It takes up like almost all the neck, and it's really just to improve posture. Basically, yeah, those are the different kinds of collars that are available. I gotta get going. I have stuff to do today. I'm really busy. So if you guys want, like, comment, and subscribe. And as new things come up, or if you guys have more questions about collars, comment below. I'll try and answer them. And if there's a lot, I'll just make another video about it. Okay? And yeah, so peace out and have a good one.